There's Baracouda, Tony McCoy, 2 Crystal Dane, Chocolate Thornton, 3 is Geos. Mick Fitzgerald will be again wearing our jockey mic, so we'll be able to hear his views mid-race. Number 4 is Ilnamar, Jamie Moore. 5 is It Takes Time, Timmy Murphy. 6 Rule Supreme, Ruby Walsh. 7 Shaboom is Barry Garrity, and 8 Kadara, Andrew Thornton, who's having such a wonderful day.
Because here want to get it, and I think you might even get 4 to 6 unless the office is played. And what I mean by that is unless the betting shops with the off-course money come in and back it, we might even get a bigger price. Barracuda, certainly it's the biggest price it's been so far, 8 to 13. 11 to 2 bar, Crystal Dane and Rule Supreme, that's been well back this morning. It's 12 to 1 Shaboom. Ilnamar is 16 to 1. It's Geos and It's Take Time at 33s and Kadara at 50s.
3 miles, 1.5 furlongs here. Kadara, the first to begin for the Telectronics Systems Long Walk Hurdle Grade 1. Got a fair run before they get to the first of 12 flights, but Kadara has already answered one question. She's going to make the running at a fair clip as well. She's about 6 or 7 clear now of Ilnamar, who's 5 in front of Crystal Dane, who's tracked by Barracuda. And then behind Barracuda, Shaboom with Geos on the inside, 3 or 4 back to Rule Supreme, and last is It Takes Time. And no hanging about here for Andy Thornton. The hat-trick seeking Andy Thornton sends Kadara over the first flight of hurdles with a lengthy advantage. Just watching them all take that first flight okay. Kadara's in front then by 8 lengths now, with Ilnamar, who's a similar gap in front of Crystal Dane in 3rd place. It Takes Time is saving ground on the inside. Timmy Murphy all on his own on the inside rail as Kadara took the 2nd flight from Ilnamar. Crystal Dane a superb leap. Fine jumper of hurdles he is. And then Barracuda 5 lengths behind him as they cross the intersection. Shaboom racing together with Barracuda. It Takes Time is with these on the inside. Geos held up behind Barracuda. The speed horse Geos. And then Rule Supreme at the back of the field in an intriguing race. They're racing away from us then down the bottom loop here, and Kadara, who ran so well behind Barracuda at Newbury last time out, is in front by 7 or 8 lengths as they go over that next flight of hurdles. Jumping in 2nd was Ilnamar, Crystal Dane, Barracuda, Shaboom, and then Geos, Rule Supreme, and finally It Takes Time. So they've jumped 3 flights so far, and they're swinging right-handed. They'll be coming back into view of the grandstands now, and Kadara making it a good test. She's 8 lengths to the good over Ilnamar. Ilnamar, who returned here last month to show he got all of his considerable ability. He's in 2nd place. Crystal Dane is 2 lengths behind him in 3rd. 2.5 back to Barracuda in 4th, with Shaboom 1.5 lengths away. Then another 1.5 lengths back to Geos. 3 lengths then to Rule Supreme. 4 further back to It Takes Time. So coming down towards the home straight here for the first time. Kadara's lead has been whittled away a little bit now. She's only about 4 lengths to the good. She jumped that brilliantly though. Still in 2nd place is Ilnamar. Crystal Dane moving up to within a length of, within a neck I should say, of Ilnamar. Barracuda and Tony McCoy only 1.5 lengths behind Crystal Dane in 4th place. Shaboom is next. Shaboom in the maroon and white colours. Geos just tracking these. Rule Supreme got a bit closer now. It Takes Time is in no hurry and is still last as they come to the next flight. And Kadara only 2 lengths to the good now over the chasing posse as they come between the 2 flights in the proper home straight now. Coming towards the 6th then, in the Telectronics Systems Long Walk Hurdle, this Grade 1 event which has been almost dominated by Barracuda in recent years at Ascot. Barracuda, the champion, or the former champion, jumping that in 5th place as Kadara leads them past us then with a circuit to go. Kadara in the red and white colours then just from Ilnamar, with Crystal Dane in the yellow. On the near side, Shaboom is 4th, the old rival of Crystal Dane's. Barracuda in 5th place. Geos hunting up Barracuda. Just saving ground on the inside for Mick Fitz. Rule Supreme is handy enough as well for Ruby Walsh. And It Takes Time has closed up on that turn as well. So all to play for as they head out on their final circuit here. Kadara by 4 lengths. Opening up a bit again now from Ilnamar, with Crystal Dane close up on the outside, with Barracuda and Shaboom still racing level pegging there. Geos still weighted with. Long way to go yet. Here's that next flight of hurdles then, the 7th there, and it was Geos who moved up on the inside of Baracouda, jumped it well. The only one that didn't jump that so well was Shaboom. Just seemed to hit the top bar a touch. So Kadara still in front. She remains about 2 lengths to the good. The order hasn't changed a great deal, to be honest. Ilnamar and Crystal Dane in 2nd and 3rd place. As they cross the next flight of hurdles, better jump there by Shaboom. And they're closing up on the leader now. Kadara has only got half a length to show over Crystal Dane. Ilnamar between horses, Baracouda and Shaboom 4th and 5th. And then Gios and Rule Supreme. It Takes Time again, cutting the corner there with Timmy Murphy, and still last of all, still in contention and still travelling okay, as they all are at this stage. On they go towards the 9th flight now of the 12. This is 4 from the finish, but a long way to go yet. The best part of 7 furlongs still to run. Kadara in front, Ilnamar poised, great jump by Crystal Dane, and Baracouda was huge there as well, moved up on the outside of Shaboom. Gios is moving up into 6th place. He's only a length and a half behind. Shaboom is just off the bridle for a moment or two on that bottom turn. Rule Supreme, very patiently ridden. No move yet from Ruby, neither from Timmy Murphy on It Takes Time. So they're making their way now inside the final 3/4 of a mile. Kadara and Crystal Dane, who moves up almost to dispute the running now as they take the turn, making their way towards the 3rd last. Kadara, Crystal Dane, and then Ilnamar about to be passed now by Baracouda. Ilnamar is flat out all of a sudden. Shaboom is also slightly outpaced. Rule Supreme's being asked a few questions, taking his time to get into top gear. Gios has lost a few places and gone backwards and dropped out to last as It Takes Time makes a little bit of headway. Down they come towards the 3rd last here, and it was Crystal Dane that struck the front. Crystal Dane leads now from Baracouda, who moves up to 2nd. Shaboom is battling in 3rd place with Kadara 4th. Rule Supreme and It Takes Time, who could still have a say. They've got 2 more flights to take in the long walk hurdle here, and it's Crystal Dane who's full of running. Likewise Baracouda. Both jockeys took a pull on these 2 horses there. Shaboom is coming right back into it. Here's the 2nd last now, and it was Shaboom, Baracouda, Crystal Dane from It Takes Time back in 4th. Rule Supreme in 5th, and now Crystal Dane and Baracouda, they're both absolutely on the bridle. Coming down towards the final flight, who will pick up best? Tony McCoy now asking Baracouda to go and win his race. Crystal Dane and Baracouda. Baracouda stumbled on landing there, lost his hind legs, and Crystal Dane comes through to take Baracouda, who's fighting back on the far side. Baracouda digging deep here, and Baracouda will win his 4th long walk in dramatic style from Crystal Dane. Rule Supreme flashed home in a photo of a 2nd there with Crystal Dane. That's as far as he got though. 4th It Takes Time.